Hello guys, it's Tony here. Saturday, it's August 22nd. It's early in the morning, about 1 o'clock. I've been trying to figure out how to tell y'all this story. It's a fantastic story. It's absolutely wonderful. I've got to try to explain it so that you'll understand. I got to start from the start though. Years ago, I bought my wife. It was probably 10 years ago. I bought my wife a diamond pendant. It was estate jewelry. It was like a one of a kind piece. I mean, it didn't cost a fortune, but it was relatively expensive. It's pretty valuable, for my budget and all that. So, at any rate, she wears it from time to time, but we keep it in a lockbox. Well, we've lived in this house for 6 years, and so we've had it for quite a bit longer than that. But after the move and everything, we she didn't take it out for a long time. But about 2 years ago, she took the pendant out and was gonna as I say, she was gonna take the pendant out and wear it one night when we were going to go out, and it wasn't there. So we looked everywhere. We turned the house upside down. We went through the closets. We went through the cabinets. We went through everything in the garage, everything in the storage building. We just tore everything apart trying to find this thing, because it means a lot to her. I mean, more sentimental than anything, but nevertheless. And it's just gone. We wasn't able to find it. And anyways, it's been, like I said, 2 years, and we've pretty much wrote this thing off. I mean, we figured that it was long gone. Thought we lost it in the move or something. I don't know. I mean, because like I said, it's the first time she wore it since we moved in here, or went to find it since we moved in this house. So it's sitting in this house for 4 years, approximately, without her wearing it or even looking for it. So, anyways, I was out on the porch a couple nights ago trying to think of I was praying to God what I could make a video about to encourage you guys. And it popped in my head to do a word study of something that God showed me. Okay, this is it's not something you're going to find on the internet. No, at least the part that I want to show you is, and I mean the word and everything, of course, is, and you can look all this stuff up if you'd like. But it's about I'll get into that. I'm going to get into that part. But anyways, in order to do this, I was telling myself I needed to use the whiteboard, and I needed to draw everything. Okay. So when that popped into my head, I went directly and got the whiteboard. And I went to get the markers for the whiteboard, and I couldn't find them. And so I came in the kitchen. I was all over the house looking for these things. And so I finally wound up back in the closet where the whiteboard was. And I'm looking through the closet, and there's just a lot of clutter in there. And I seen this bag in a box. It's like one of those, I don't know, like a beach bag or something. But it's like made of plastic. It's got holes in it. I'm not sure exactly the purpose of it, but it had some notebooks and things in it. So I'm flipping through there, and I see a pen sticking up, and it was the dry erase markers. And so as I was reaching in there, I found two markers that I know came with the whiteboard. It had little magnets on them and little eraser pads on the back of them, for the whiteboard. And I thought that there was more than two pens. So I kept digging, and I grabbed a hold of a box, of a little small jewelry box. And I'm like, what is this? What is this doing in there? And I shook it. As soon as I shook it, my heart stopped, because I'm like, wait a minute, what if this is that pendant? And so I opened it up, and sure enough, it was inside there. It was up in a plastic piece of cellophane wrapper. It was sealed up. And I couldn't believe it. So I showed my wife, she was excited that we'd found this thing. But she said she's been through that bag 100 times. We tore that closet apart when it was lost. This thing has been missing for 2 years. I mean, really longer. I mean, it's been missing longer. The first time she went to use it to wear it was in about 2 years ago. And we had not looked for it since we moved into this house. So it's basically been missing since we moved into this house. And something just seemed weird about it. I mean, I was very happy and thankful that we'd found it. I was glad she had, because I felt terrible that we had lost it. But I go back out on the porch and I said, Lord, are you trying to show me something? Because this is like, it was great that we found it, but it's like this, the way I came about it, the fact that I thought of this teaching, then I think of using the whiteboard, I think of going to get it, anyways, the way it all come together, and I found it. So I'm sitting there asking the Lord, well, you're showing me that, maybe confirming that this is what you want me to show him is about this teaching, but what does all this mean? What does the diamond mean? And I said, well, wait a minute, you're all about jewels. I mean, it talks about heaven being adorned with jewels. God's people were adorned with jewels. They wore things around their neck with jewels on them. Even Lucifer, it talks about, had jewels. So, I mean, God's all about precious jewels and precious stones. And then it hit my mind, a diamond is a precious stone. Then I was thinking, diamond in the rough. And as soon as the thought diamond in the rough popped into my head, a diamond in the rough, hidden just below the surface, in the clutter, right in plain sight, but just below the surface, is a precious jewel. A diamond in the rough. Really, it wasn't a diamond in the rough. It was a real diamond. But the point is that it was hidden from me all this time, just below the surface in this bag, just below the surface, in the clutter, the clutter of life. Something is hidden. This is a spiritual teaching, guys. This is something that God showed me years ago. You can't find this on the internet. Now, you can find all about the words. You can find all about the meanings, and you can look up the Hebrew and all that, and you can figure it all out. But this part of it, God showed me. It hit my mind one night, and the more I thought about it, the more it started to make sense what he was showing me. So this is what it is. It's a spiritual teaching. And like I said, I would have never caught on to this if God had not have showed it to me. Like I said, you're not going to find this on the internet. What it is, it's about the word ahava, which means love in Hebrew. Ahava is not a feeling or emotion like the word love in English. It's not a term of endearment. It's not a feeling. It's not that kind of it's not emotion. Love in Hebrew, ahava love, is a giving love. And that could be a giving of yourself. It could be a giving of something of great value. It could be giving your time. It could be just spending time. But it's an action word. This kind of love is actually doing something. It's not just feeling something. People say, I really love that person, but they've done nothing for that person. This kind of love is true love. True love is action. In the Bible, it says love not in word and in tongue, but in deed and in truth, right? Well, this is that kind of love. Now, it's also about the holy name of God, which is, it depends. I mean, people pronounce it a lot of different ways, but the letters, you always see them in English, Y, H, V, H, okay? Well, if you go back to the ancient Hebrew, okay, now you'll have to do this study because I was going to use the whiteboard and I was going to draw all this, guys, but it would stretch out for a really long time, and you all are perfectly capable of looking all this stuff up. And I know you're going to do it anyway, so I might as well just tell you and let you look it up, but this is very fascinating. Okay, in the ancient Hebrew, all the letters are like, well, originally they were pictographs. It was a pictograph language. But all the letters represent something in agriculture. Because these people, the Hebrew people, were like nomad people. They moved around. They were always on the move. They were all about agriculture and harvest time and things like that. So the letters in God's holy name is Yod He Vav He. But when you go back to ancient Hebrew, the words change a little bit, with the pictures and everything. But it's Yud, He, Wah, He. So here's what my point is. If you pronounce the letter, everybody's trying to figure out how to pronounce it, and everybody's not sure how it's pronounced. But if you go back to ancient Hebrew, there's no vowels. The way you get your vowels is by the sound after every letter, and it's the ah sound. There's an ah sound that's presumed after every letter. So if you take those letters, which is read in Hebrew from right to left instead of left to right, and you read it backwards, the way it's supposed to be read, and you put the ah sound, you have the Yahweh. Now, I've heard people claim that there was no V sound. I've heard people claim there is a V sound, but there just wasn't a V. Either way, it's ahava or ahawa. Not ahawa. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's either Yahweh or Yahweh, if you pronounce it with the ah after it. Now, I believe that there was a V sound. I believe there was, and I'm about to tell you why. Now, the word love is ahava. So, now I'm not talking about the spelling. The letters are different. And you can look it up. The letters for ahava actually has, it's different letters. So if you take the letters themselves and sound them out, they're going to be different. But the word, when you sound out the word, it's ahava. And the word for God, God's name, pronounced in the ancient Hebrew, would be Yahweh. I believe, because the Bible says that God is love. And this is what God showed me. God is love. Now, you take the very first letter in God's holy name, the Yod, and when you look up the meaning, in ancient Hebrew, now not in the new modern Hebrew, which you may be able to figure it out the same way, but I'm going by the Otiot, the old Paleo Hebrew, because I believe that's what all the Torah or the original books were written in to begin with. When the original count that Moses took from God, I believe, was written in the ancient Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew. So when you take that first letter, Yod, Yod is the arm and the hand. It represents action, okay? Just like we talked about ahava, love is action of love. It's just not just saying I love you, it's doing it, right? If I have ahava, love for you, I'm doing something for you because I love you, you know? It's a doing, it's an action. Well, if you think about this for a second, ahava is love. God's holy name has 4 letters, Yud, He, Wah-He. The Yud is the arm and the hand, which represents action. He, the letter He, it shows a picture of, just like the Yod shows a picture of an arm and a hand, the He is a picture of like a spirit man holding up his hands to God. It means behold, or it means personal revelation. But it's most generally used as behold, you know. It's like something from God, behold. And then the Wah is a picture of a stake or a tent stake or a peg, a tent peg, or just a nail. It's just the easiest way to say it is just it's a nail. It connects something to something else, okay? It's the Wah. And then at the end is the He again. When you say the letters in the meanings of them in and of themselves, Yod, He, Vav, He, what you're actually saying is, behold the hand, behold the nail. That represents Jesus, guys. The plan for our salvation was written in the letters of God's name. Now, what does it mean? Well, God is love. It's ironic that Yahweh and Ahava, or Yahweh, and that's which is the way I prefer to say it because it rhymes with Ahava, and it could be Yahweh. So, or it's Yahweh, one or the other. But it's either way, it's very close to the sound. The phonics of it is very close to the sound of love, which connects love and the name of God together. Ahava, Yahweh, Ahava, Yahweh. It's very similar. Now, I watched this young man do a video explaining what God's name was. And it made so much sense. It almost made me cry, guys. When you take a breath in and you breathe out, you're actually forming your mouth in the letters of God's name. Almost now, you can't even help it. It just happens naturally. When you draw in a quick breath, God's name is also the breath of life. I mean, this is very profound. This is so profound. And then when you think about that, and you think about the way God's name has the action letter at the beginning of the sound part that sounds like love, but the name of God is actually, the meaning of it is like, you know, of course you've always heard I am, because what it means is God is all encompassing. He is who He is. He is everything. He's all things. I mean, He transcends the names because He's all things. He's everything. He created all things. I mean, He doesn't need a name. He He has, but you know what I'm saying? He's everything. He's all encompassing. So that's what Yod He Vod He represents. Yahweh represents everything. And to me, it represents the breath of life. To me, it represents love. Now, here's what John 5:13 says. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Now, if Ahava is love, and God's name, and God is love, and if you can find the connection here, and like I say, this is a spiritual thing. This is something God showed me, so this is not something you're going to be able to find. But when you connect this together, and the greatest love of all is to lay down your life, well, God shows it in his name. Behold the hand, behold the nail. He is representing what he has done for us. The action of love. He is love, but he's showing us also the action that he performed in love for us, which was to lay down his own life for his friends. And everybody knows if you've studied the Bible in the New Testament, you know that God, when he sent his son, he basically came himself into the flesh. God himself, it says that his word became a man and dwelt among us. I don't want this video is getting longer and longer, and I don't want to stretch it too long, but so that's why I'm not even using the whiteboard. I just want to try to explain this to you. This is really important. Greater love hath no man to lay down his life for his friends. God laid down his life for us. In the old kingdoms that God set up, God set up all the kingdoms. If a king were to issue an edict, which is a law, that edict would remain in effect indefinitely until that king was dead. He himself could not reverse that edict. If that king put something into law back in the old kingdoms, that remained a law until he was dead. And the only way for it to be removed was if he were to die. The very first edict that God, the king, gave to man was not to eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. He said, for the day that thou eatest of, ye shall surely die. Okay? We ate of it. God can't break his promise, for one thing. God is all about promises. And this edict cannot be broken until the king is dead. Do you understand what I'm saying? God himself had to come down to earth in the form and likeness of a man so that he could die. Because God can't die. He's eternal. He had to become a man in order to die for us, to remove the curse, to remove the edict. You see why it's so important? Why it's so important that we have a Savior? Because otherwise we're doomed to die eternally, to go to hell, the whole 9 yards. We are doomed because of what happened in the Garden of Eden. But God, he gave his life through his Son, because the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one. Jesus says many times, the Father is in me, I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. So what does the Bible say? That we are heirs to his throne through Christ. Anyway, guys, greater love hath no man than a man lay down his life for his friends. And that's what God showed me out on the porch. And also what's showing me this, he returned to us something of great value, at least, as far as sentimental value. It was a valuable piece, but it's more sentimental. It's priceless in that respect. And he gave it back to us and showed me this great teaching in the process. Guys, I love you. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good night. See you later. Bye.